Hi, this is Travis, and I'm making this video here because we get a ton of inquiries from sellers and even potential sellers that ask us, like, would you really buy my house because of this condition or this situation? And the answer is absolutely, we will. Um, or consider buying your property. We buy all over the state of Minnesota. I'm going to show you a bunch of properties that aren't just in the Twin Cities area. That is where a bulk of our buying is. But, we also buy far out in every direction. So don't be afraid of location where you are if we would consider buying it. Absolutely, we will. I will tell you the number one reason why we normally don't buy a property. It's strictly what you want for the property and what we can afford to pay. That's normally the only thing that stops us from moving forward on a deal. So, with that being said, it's still worth inquiring because it's a free cash offer. So please fill out a form online or go ahead and pick up the phone and call us and discuss about your situation. But for a few of you that might be a little bit shy or think, hey, your property won't apply because it's in worse condition or it's outdated, I'm creating a little PowerPoint here for you today so you can just see if one of these apply to you. If you think like, hey, I'm in that situation, it does seem like they will buy the house. And I just want to kind of give you a broad brush of what we do in regards to buying brushes, or buying houses, I mean, or get into the weeds and say these are the situations that we help people out of um, in their life. So let's see if this applies to you. Here's an example. Here's a house that we got from a tired landlord. Tired landlord is pretty much anyone that wants to be done dealing with tenants. We do buy properties with tenants in it. We prefer that it's vacant or it would be vacant at the time we close, but every situation is different. So we'd like to hear about yours and we'll come up with a custom solution that would best fit you and our situation to purchase the property. So here's a standard outside, like a Rambler style home. Inside, the kitchen is dated. A lot of these houses that we get are always going to be dated and need a lot of work to be updated. Um, and sometimes tenants leave, damage behind, and you don't want to deal with it. It's expensive. You maybe don't know how to handle it. Um, Here's the lower level. Unfortunately, this tenant kind of went rogue and was making a massive mess. And landlord didn't want to deal with this stuff. So if you're seeing anything like this, and you feel like, hey, this definitely applies to me. I got a house just like this, or not as bad, but along that lines. Please reach out to us. We are a company that will take this on. Here's another one, pre-foreclosure in the seller in North St. Paul. That just means someone's about ready to get behind on their payments or have been behind on their payments on their house, but they know they need work and they want to be out of the situation, but not lose all their equity that they had in their house and give it back to the bank and get nothing for it. So reaching out to us does make sense to have that conversation, and we can normally hit any timeline that is needed to be hit to save you from going into foreclosure. But I always ask, start the process way early because it gives everyone more time. But if you see something similar like this, kind of a tuck under garage that's in rough condition, inside of the house, dated bathrooms, these are common in these houses. If you think something like that applies, reach out to us. Here's one up in Pine City. It's a lake property. That just means someone traditionally doesn't live in it year round. So that means the maintenance sometimes gets neglected because you're not there every day to catch every little thing. So this was just a place where we have a property that was a boathouse down by the lake that was in distress. They had a water leak. I don't know if they didn't winterize right at the right time. It looks like I see some staining down the window. So that means they must have had a window open. So you just get basic damage. Chimney that's end of life needs a lot of tuck pointing. That's a very expensive thing to do, but it's a safety concern, so it has to be done. So if you think something like that applies to you, if you have a lake property or inherited one, we'll take it on. Here's one, distressed property. It needs a lot of work way out in Hewitt, Minnesota. Um, you know, if you think you have something like this applies, wait until you see the inside here. As you can see, a lot of damage, a lot of stuff needs to be worked on. So if you think this is you, please pick up the phone. This is a very expensive renovation. I'm going to be upfront about it, and that's in a situation. But this is something that we would consider taking on if you're in a situation when the property is in major distress. A couple going through a divorce in Northeast Minneapolis. We were able to take it on, kind of dated kitchen, water getting into the basement, so we had the drain tile, stuff like that. If you got things that apply that you see here are situations, again, we can help. We got one here in Anoka, probate. That just means someone has passed on and the property just needs to kind of go through the court system before it can be sold. But I want to let a lot of people know, probate, when we do buy these properties, you do not have to wait until the end of the probate process to sign a purchase agreement with us. We can sign a purchase agreement right at the very beginning, even if you're just starting the process. And we can put a 6-month, 9-month, a 1-year closing date way out into the future because probate does take a while. And we'll do a close on or before date. So that means whenever you're ready, we'll fast forward that closing to that date and we can close on the time. So as soon as the probate's done, the judge signs off on it, boom, we can get you off the closing. You don't have to wait for the process to get done and then sign a purchase agreement and then wait for the time to go through. We can speed all that along. A lot of people think they have to wait. So if you're, no matter what stage you are in the probate process, if you know you're going to be selling a house to an investor like ourselves, please reach out to us as soon as possible to start the process. It'll never hurt your situation. It will only help you. But here's the inside of the probate, a traditional dated little house. Nothing wrong. Just, it needs updates to be ready for the market. But if this type of property is similar to what you have, we take them on. We go to extreme fire damage. We had one in Big Lake. So if you have a property like that, we'll consider it. Here's a property that's been neglected in Annandale, so that means no heating source for several years. That's what causes pain to do that. You got a situation like that, reach out to us. We had one where not a landlord property, but you kind of became either an accidental landlord or you were trying to do the right things. A mom, a dad, grandma, grandpa had the house and was going to rent it to a family member, and then, I hate to say it, sometimes it does go awry, and there's some damage done. There was cat and dog urine here all over the floor, and we had to take care of it for them. But they were relieved that they could have this problem off their plate. Here's another one, kind of like, I'll call it a junkyard. Not in the traditional sense, just homeowner stuff. So if you had someone that was kind of like a hoarder, we will take care of that. We have no problem coming out and taking a look and getting all that stuff. We'll donate as much as we can, trash out the rest that we can't, but, don't bother doing all that cleanup. We can handle that as part of the offer. And then what surprises some people, we buy nice houses. Here's one that's a job relocation in Rosemont. The house, I think, was maybe 3 years old. So gorgeous on the inside, overall. These are properties that we will take on. So we take the good and the bad properties. If you have a property and you want to sell it relatively quick or with ease and convenience, we are someone you want to at least have a conversation with. And to have a conversation with us, all you have to do is go ahead and call our office right now, 612-930-2000, and we'll get you a free cash offer. Or, since you're already on our website, go ahead and fill out the form online, and we'll contact you. Just put down the best time to reach you so we can avoid a bunch of phone tagging. We are a no-pressure company, meaning we're just going to get some information from you, gather it, and then we'll be able to form a preliminary cash offer for you. If it makes sense, we'll discuss what the next steps are. We already have another video about kind of what those steps are if you're interested, but it's very, very low-key, your timeline, no pressure. That's what we're about because it has to make sense for you and make sense for us to move forward. So please just fill out the form. You're out just a little bit of your time, but we can definitely take any of those problems off your plate. And even if I didn't mention one of your situations in the slideshow that I presented here, that still doesn't mean I wouldn't buy your property. I'm just throwing out the most common ones that come our way, but we will look at any situation. So don't hesitate to call us or fill out the form today. I appreciate the time.